Agreed to. I call Carmel Cipollone.
Mr Speaker, I stand to speak on the Social Assistance Future Focus Bill, and the first thing I need to say that it is disgraceful that that minister stands in this House after having platformed herself on being some sort of battler solo mother, some sort of martyr for solo mums out there, and then now seeks to take away things that she once claimed. She's already denied them the training incentive allowance, and now what she's doing is putting the boot in again to these people that are actually already down and out. I think it's disgraceful. Now, while there are some provisions, Mr Speaker, Mr Garrett, of the Social Assistance Future Focus Amendment Bill that Labor supports, such as increasing benefit abatement income thresholds and the annual CPI adjustment of certain benefits, it is fundamentally opposed to the provisions on work testing and the discriminatory nature of the bill. Also of considerable concern is the minister's inability to adequately define welfare dependency, which is the underlying reason for this bill, and that came up over and over again when we tried to get a definition out of the minister. Now, Labor agrees with the overwhelming majority of the actual submitters, who believed that many of the provisions of the bill are actually unwarranted. Many submitters believed that the amendments were a modern form of beneficiary bashing that they haven't seen of the like since the 1990s when that government was in. One reputable submitter, a researcher, believed that the bill was so flawed that it had no redeeming features and should be withdrawn. The Law Commission was also critical of the bill, believing that the primary bill was in need of a major rewrite and should state citizens' rights clearly. Labor has serious concerns regarding the proposed changes to the sickness benefit and the invalid's benefit. Setting the limit on work hours at 15 hours per week is an arbitrary distinction that will disadvantage many beneficiaries. For example, someone who is judged by a medical professional to be able to work slightly less than 15 hours per week would be eligible for the invalid's benefit. Another person who was judged able to work slightly more than 15 hours per week would only be eligible to receive the sickness benefit and thus would get a much lower income. Given the minimal difference in capability to work between the two examples, the proposed system would be obviously unfair. The proposed changes would also mean that someone with a newly acquired disability would be more likely to receive the sickness benefit than the invalid's benefit, and with it face an increased pressure to find full-time work. For someone struggling to deal with significant changes in their life, who may or may not yet have access to necessary equipment, such as a wheelchair, that would enable them to work. Eligibility to receive the invalid benefit allows them to put their focus where it needs to be, and that's adapting to life with a disability. To be forced onto the sickness benefit rather than the invalid's benefit would be an unnecessary hardship. In their submission, the IHC expressed their concern that people with intellectual disabilities, particularly young school leavers who are unable to find suitable employment, will find it more difficult to qualify for an invalid's benefit. They may instead find themselves on a sickness benefit and face unrealistic expectations about finding work. Many intellectually disabled people who can work need the invalid's benefit as a safety net as they transition in and out of work. Changing the criteria for reapplying to this benefit will discriminate against intellectually disabled people and place undue financial and psychological stress upon them. Several of the major social service agencies who presented submissions to the Select Committee viewed most of the provisions of this bill as unnecessary. They believe that the government's concern about growing welfare dependency was not based on any evidence and that the current system was working well. Labor, along with some of the submitters to this bill, also believes that it makes little sense continuing with the changes proposed in this welfare bill before the government's Welfare Working Group on Welfare Dependency has reported back with their recommendations for reform. Not one of the major agencies that work with domestic purposes beneficiaries and with those on unemployment benefits supports the underlying assumption in the bill that the change will create a fairer benefit system. with an unrelenting focus on beneficiaries entering or returning to employment. Rather, they believe the bill will make matters worse for those on benefits and will drive even greater numbers to seek assistance from food banks and other voluntary service support organisations. Now, many of the voluntary services and support organisations that made submissions highlighted the increased workload that they are getting now ever since that government got into took office. Now, one of the things that I thought was very interesting was the submission that came from Caritas, the Catholic Church, and that was with regards to their concern that what they are seeing is an increasing pressure from this government with regards to their need to support these people, because that government over there is devolving increasing amounts of responsibility to those organisations. The Catholic Church made it very clear that in their mind, the state, the government, has a responsibility to work alongside the church and similar organisations, not to devolve responsibility to them. Labor believes that the provisions on work testing solo parents are fundamentally flawed. It shows little appreciation of the demands of the parenting role on single parents and limits the ability of caseworkers to seriously consider individual circumstances on a case-by-case basis. It shows little appreciation of the effect of having job responsibilities for single parents even when their children are at school. Labor believes these pressures are not reduced because childcare responsibilities on single parents are demanding and often require full-time attention. What has happened is they have been compared to a model of the two-parent household, and on that basis, the proposals in this bill reflect the presumption that all single parents with school-aged children should be expected to take on employment. Labor believes the current provision of Section 144 of the Social Security Act are sufficient to signal the importance of work if it can be reasonably factored in to the care responsibilities of single parents. And the irony of this is that in the Minister of Social Development's maiden speech, she stated that parents should have the choice to work full-time, part-time, or stay at home and care for their children if they wish. However, what seems to have happened is that she has changed her mind, or perhaps when she made that statement, she was talking about women that have the husband in the white picket fence and not those that are attempting to raise their children by themselves. Now, Labor agrees with submitters that the proposals in this bill do not focus sufficiently on enabling single parents to prepare for the job market while they are single parents. There is evidence that when single parents are able to use the time they have full-time parenting responsibilities to prepare for the job market by taking up educational opportunities, they are able to come off the benefit and enter into sustainable and permanent jobs on reasonable pay. The effect of repealing the current provisions for a personal development and employment plan is that educational opportunities will no longer be considered. Labor is concerned that DPB recipients will only be supported if they choose to take on study at levels 1 to 3. The changes to the training incentive allowance already set about disadvantaging DPB recipients who opt to take on level 4 or higher qualifications, and now this bill will further disadvantage the recipient by acting as a deterrent to them enrolling in tertiary education programs at levels 4 or higher. This will not only have a negative impact on that sole parent's ability to develop himself professionally, but it will also have a negative impact on that parent's children. Labor believes that these provisions demonstrate that the government's approach to single parents in this bill is punitive. No evidence has been presented on the government's belief that an unrelenting focus on work, with taking into account the real demands of parenting, will produce better outcomes for children and their parents. And I think it's timely that today we saw the statistics around unemployment and see the increase in unemployment that is happening in this country. And it shows up that that government really doesn't have a plan, that that government is doing nothing for those families, that government is doing nothing to create jobs. And here they are saying we're going to have an unrelenting focus on getting these people out into the workforce when they're doing absolutely nothing to actually build a workforce for them to go out into. Now, Mr. Speaker, Labor believes that the government not having Any targets for reducing the number on benefits through the provisions in this bill shows that it is proceeding from an ideological base rather than one based on good evidence and a real desire to improve the lives of children in single-parent households and to enable single parents to prepare for a well-paying job when they enter the labour market.